Papa John's is teaming up with Taylor Swift to bring you better pizza and better music. Right now, get Taylor's new album Red, plus a large one-topping pizza for a special price. Look for this and other special offers from Taylor Swift at papajohns.com.
Yeah, no, this is really something to have all these radio stations from around the world, like 70 radio stations. How important is radio to you? Obviously, very important.
I think for me, radio's just been there for me this whole time, like having my back and playing my music. And this record is really different from anything I've done before. So the fact that radio has embraced that is so great. And, I'm doing 72 interviews with 72 stations today, so it's like the fact that everybody would come from wherever they are and be with us here in Nashville just to celebrate the release of Red. It's the most amazing thing.
It really is. And Red, this is your 4th album now, and you'd think that it was old hat. You've done this so many times, you've sold so many albums, but this album, you say so many times, was different for you. It took you out of your comfort zone. How do you mean?
It really did. It was like working with different people and bringing something out of my songwriting that I hadn't brought out before. And it's like, I think that for me, I'd always wanted to work with Max Martin. I'd always wanted to work with Ed Sheeran and Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol. These are people who have influenced my music for a really long time, and to actually be there with them making music was so exhilarating.
Yeah, and with your music, the word genre comes up a lot. And it must get so frustrating, the word too much, too poppy, it's too country, it's too this, it's too that. What would you say to people that keep saying those things over and over every time an album comes out?
Well, I've been hearing that criticism for years, so it's like I would so much rather be called to something than have the criticism be her music is all starting to sound the same. We take chances with it. We definitely explore the edges. I have so many different influences that come into play in this record, and I think that, at the end of the day, it makes it interesting. It makes it an interesting listen. Whether you think it's too something or not, it's in a very eclectic record, and that's why I'm so proud of it.
It's still music, and it's still your music, and it comes from your soul. And I know that when I was listening to it, I downloaded it as soon as it came out. And I was listening to it, going, wow, every song had something that made me stop in my tracks and turn and go, wow, that's different, that's new.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. Thank you for listening to it, and thank you for being so attentive and getting it when it came out.
Now, I have to ask, too, you're 22, and I would imagine that's where half your energy comes from, but you've been doing this for so long. The party that we had last night, the reception, your mom told a great story of when you guys came here for the first time. You were 11, and even at that age, you had so much energy taking your CDs, your demos, and running into Mercury Records. Where does that come from?
I think for me, it just was a curiosity. I don't think I ever expected that this could happen. So it was like, why not try? Why not run into that radio station or that record label and ask them if they'll listen to my music? And I think, having been an 11-year-old, you don't think twice about it. I just kind of was like, hey guys, I made a demo CD. Will you listen to it? And I think now looking back on that, it seems kind of absurd. I look back and I'm like, that's a crazy thing to do.
Maybe that's the best time to do
crazy
it, no
little
fear.
Kid. But you know what? You look back and it's like, I guess as a kid I didn't have much fear about it because I didn't think there was much of a possibility it would actually happen. It all just seemed like a crazy little dream.
And to have your parents' support, too, that just must mean so much.
My parents have been so supportive, and, as soon as I started writing songs and playing guitar, they knew that was all I wanted to do. It was all I thought about. It was all I talked about, was telling stories and writing poetry and writing songs and performing them. And, when they saw that and they identified that, they never once said, you have to wait till you're 18, or if you gotta do this yourself. They were behind me the whole way.
And now Red is on its way to selling easily 1 million copies in its first week.
It's insane. It's an insane number, and I am so happy that the fans are doing this for me. It's unbelievable, and of course I'm knocking on wood until we actually get the final number for the week, because it's just insane that could happen.
And we're so glad that it is, and Red is an amazing album, and thank you so much for doing it, and thank you so much for being on Country 105.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming to visit in Nashville.